What's up, family?
Hey.
Listen, guys, it is another Tuesday.
Yes,
So you know what that means. We're going in.
Yes.
Go ahead, tag, share, like, invite.
Start a watch party.
Start a watch party. There it is. Look, go ahead. We're going to give people time to start getting into this room, man. Listen, it's another Tuesday night, so you already know what time it is. It's Together Tuesdays.
Yes.
And I think we kind of got something juicy tonight, man. I think this is going to be phenomenal, man.
Yes.
I honestly can't wait till we kind of unpack some of what we have tonight. So we're going to take a little bit of different. We're taking a little bit of different direction tonight. We're going to take a different approach. Listen, as you're coming in, make sure you're liking. Make sure you are sharing. Make sure you are starting watch parties. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you are subscribing and make sure you're hitting that bell. I had almost forgot what it was for a moment. But yeah, hit that bell on there. So that way, every time we go live, you can actually get an alert.
Yeah.
And also, you can also text "Get Together" to the number below, streaming down there, and you take a look at that. And you can get text notifications. Yes. For those of you who say I ain't on social media like that, I can't get the YouTube stuff. Well, fine, man. Text us, and we'll make sure you're getting updated. Because we want you in here, in the place every Tuesday.
And you can comment. You can join the conversation.
You can comment. You can join. Oh yeah, I forgot about that part.
Yeah.
Just that quick. Did you know that you don't just got to sit back and watch and listen? You can comment. You ain't got to sit out there and say like you agree. Tell us when you disagree. Yeah, this is that conversation. On Sundays, we tell the Bridge City folks, when you come on Tuesday nights, it's real, it's raw, it's radical, it's relevant. We don't censor our guest hosts. We're going to have the conversation as is.
Yes.
It's like a used car lot. It's a buy and pay it. It's as is, baby. No warranties. No warranties. But we're actually going to switch things up a little bit tonight. Normally, we allow our guest hosts to introduce themselves, and we all share kind of like a little opening point, right?
Yeah.
And man, that's been amazing, and it's allowed us to kind of build our conversations off from there. But tonight, I feel like we already got some conversation starters, right? So we don't necessarily need something to build a point off of. We got some points to hit.
We got my sister back. Okay.
What you say, y'all? Welcome back.
Hey, I hate I missed last week's show, but I'm back.
Who was with us, man? And then of course, B. Warren came back with us again.
Yes.
And of course, this is another reason why we don't have to do the introductions, because you know us now. Everybody that's on tonight has been on here before. And we might get another surprise guest that's been with us before jump in tonight too. So that's gonna be really cool. That's gonna be really cool, right? Listen, guys, as you're coming in, like, share. Remember, you can comment and be a part of this conversation, and you're gonna want to. Am I missing anything? Am I missing anything? House rules? Y'all think I'm missing anything? Y'all check me if I.
I don't think so. I'm ready to get this conversation started.
He's about ready to get his joint popping, right? So let me switch over here, and okay. So we got two conversations, two things we're gonna really hit hard, and we'll allow those both things to kind of build from there. Let's start with this first thing now. B. Warren, who is like the resident journalist. That's what we're gonna call him. He runs pretty much everything multiverse from a social media aspect. And then he has like numerous other things going on. He's the proprietor of Controlled Substance. And so pretty much anything media, urban media, hip hop, he's on, right? And so I believe it was yesterday. I get these notifications that multiverse is just going crazy, right? And I'm like, what is going on? And so I look over there and I see this video. And I think I'm gonna say enough. Do y'all want to see the video? We're gonna show y'all the video. And I tried to get the video that started it all, but this is the video that everybody's talking about. So we're gonna pull this up, and then we're gonna dissect this bad boy and talk about it. All right?
All right.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
I invested a lot of money into buying this building, into developing this concept, so black people can have somewhere nice to go to. Okay? Somewhere where we can feel good about ourselves as a. Come on. Stop the music, please. Somewhere where our people can feel good about ourselves as a culture, okay? Yeah. No, real talk. And so all this twerking and shit, take it to Prime, take it to Pink, don't bring it here because we're a restaurant. And so beyond that, 75% of my customers are ladies. And I want men to show respect for themselves for how they carry themselves here. So how can I tell the men to respect themselves and you guys are twerking on glass here? If you want to do it, get the fuck out my restaurant. Because I did it for our people and I did it for our culture. So don't do it now. Don't do it again. I don't want to hear it. If you don't like it, get out because I don't need your money. I need to provide something for my people. And don't do it again. Thank you.
Okay, I didn't want to start off by saying at least he ended it with thank you.
Yeah.
He did say thank you.
I think I'm not necessarily wrong with what he's saying. You know, I'm not. He didn't say necessarily anything wrong, but because that is his restaurant, and if you want to establish a culture, it's like we gotta raise our people up. In my other video, I said we need to step out and step up.
Yeah,
but it's just also how the delivery.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, people have definitely been honing in on him about that delivery.
You still want to make your place warm and inviting. You know,
I'm gonna withhold mine to the end because I think I'm like
I'm not mad at what he said.
From everybody. Y'all might
know I'm about to differ.
How we get down with this.
I know I'm about to differ. I know that. Okay, can I go? Like, because y'all know I'm okay. So
I'm scared.
Let me
wait.
back up.
One question. Was this restaurant, was it like music going on? Because you know how when you go out,
that's where I'm starting at. That is where I'm starting. I'm not going to give that one preposition. That is where I'm starting. I'm starting with the music choice itself. Okay. First of all, music choice. Now, I'm going to give y'all a little story of when I went and got my nails done at the new Luxe nail salon here in Oxford. It's a beautiful place. I mean, you walk in and you feel like you're $1 million. And I walked in rags and I felt like a bad bitch when I walked in there. Like, I know I'm going to go in here, you know. But at the same time, I'm sitting there with my glass of champagne, feet in this beautiful water, and I'm hearing nigga shit, goddamn fuck, and I'm like, and y'all know I like to cuss. I like to cuss. I like cuss words. But I'm sitting there with my glass of champagne with this chandelier coming down and all of this beautifulness, and I'm hearing all of this uncut music. And in my mind, I'm like, wow. Why are we playing that type of music in this type of atmosphere? So that's my first problem. Why the hell do you get your DJ together and tell your DJ, hey, no twerking music? Because first of all, Black people are joyful people. And music hits our soul. So when that twerking music hit her soul and she started dancing, and for all of those people that said, oh, the customers were being disrespected, them customers was back there, hey. And when you do that in a Black crowd, you already know she finna go harder. Like that's like your pep rally. That is your pep team. That's your hype man. When the crowd goes, hey, you know it means go harder. Now, should she have got her ass up on their couch? Hell no. That's bad home training. Like, girl, come on now. You shouldn't have done that. Yeah. But then I don't think he should have met. Now, if he wanted to address her specifically in that manner, privately, somewhere else, I would have respected that more than him standing in the middle of his restaurant addressing the whole restaurant as if the whole restaurant was in there twerking. But what would he have done if the whole restaurant had got up and started twerking?
Probably would have changed
because he gave them that atmosphere. He gave them that atmosphere, and then that whole speech about I did this for the culture. No, you didn't. Because Black culture is twerking. So you did this for white culture. You did this to give us some white shit to do. That's what you did. You did this to give us some white shit to do. Because every time we want to give our people something good, we give them something that is accustomed to white culture. And then in the process, in the process, we take that opportunity to dismiss, disrespect, and misunderstand our own culture.
Hey, you can't argue with that point.
So
Now,
I
not at
can't
all.
respect nothing that I would have walked out his restaurant, to be honest.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, B, how you feeling? I see you grabbing the chin. I see you.
So, man, so many moving parts. Just to give a little context, I found this on Twitter, and the owner, his name I think is Kevin Kelly. He's an attorney in Texas. But as most attorneys do, he has a couple of outside ventures. I think he has 2 or 3 restaurants and some other things going on.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, most of my sentiments, I would agree with Lesa. But I find a little fault in both. Now, let me just say with the owner.
Okay.
There's a gray area in the culture of this restaurant because there have been other clips released of people doing the wobble, of sororities strolling in the restaurant.
Okay.
And I won't say what sorority, I won't put them out there. But that looked like it was okay. That was okay. Now with this situation, there was a clip, and I think on the Multiverse page it was posted. The first time he came out, or maybe we didn't post this one, but he came out and he has a whole statement on Facebook. They pulled the surveillance from the restaurant, and he actually comes to them, and you can't hear his voice, but you can kind of tell by his body language. He's addressing that table, and he's asking them to stop. And I mean, you can really, I don't know what he was saying, but his body language to me says he's being polite. He's like, I understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Like his body language is just showing it. But his excuse for his frustration was coming out the first time being polite, asking them not to get on top of the tables or whatever they were on the furniture. And then it crunked back up, and that led to his frustration. Now, my problem with him, just like what Lesa said, you got to be more composed than that. Come deal with that set of patrons. First of all, you got to set a standard because obviously there's a gray area. When you got liquor, when you got a DJ, right. We know how that's gonna go. So you got to kind of, draw a line in the sand of what the culture of the restaurant is. But outside of that, he should have addressed that table and that table only, even if he had to come back out a second or third time. I think getting up on your soapbox, talking as loud enough for the entire establishment was just a little bit too much. Well, not a little bit.
And
it was
talking all that, what he did and how much money he spent. I mean, you act like you came to save niggas from nigga culture or some shit. Right. Like, I don't get it. I just didn't get it. I didn't get it.
Yeah, man, and going on about respecting women, respecting themselves, and all of that. That was too much.
That was like the weirdest statement in the whole point. Right. I was like, oh, what?
Because it sounds like that's coming from somewhere else. Like this has been some pent up stuff you've been wanting to say for a minute.
Yeah.
But my only fault with the patrons, it wasn't them dancing and them enjoying themselves and having a good time. Our culture is our culture. I've seen videos of women in Africa twerking, or what we would call twerking. But like Lesa said, man, getting up on the furniture was a little. I mean, even in the club, I don't go to the clubs often, but I know when people get up on the furniture, the security is gonna ask you to step down.
I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move to this section right here.
Like that's just lack of home training. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, and a point that I made when I was talking to my friend earlier about this is that aside from him, trying to give Black people something to do, because he just kept saying that, I'm trying to give us something to be proud of, something that's like part of our culture. First of all, that shit ain't a part of our culture. We didn't have this fine wine and dine and shit in Africa. But, I mean, like, that's not what and I'm not saying that we didn't have fine things to do or what they would consider classy things to do, but even in Africa there are classy events where twerking is part of the dancing, is part of the ceremony, rhythm, music, like I said before in our last conversations, we are a flamboyant people. We are. That is something we cannot erase from that's in our blood, that's in our DNA. So whenever I hear us comparing our culture to white people in a negative manner, you could say I'm giving us something different to do. I'm giving us something, more, you can even say more culture. But don't say it like as if our culture doesn't matter, as if our culture is irrelevant, because you can go to nice white spots and see white women twerking, like play some twerking music. They gonna get up and start twerking too. I've been hanging out with millionaires on yachts and in top dollar clubs. I'm talking about we up here at the club right beside the White House, and it's white women in there twerking. Twerking.
That just sounds like a nightmare.
And I mean know how to twerk, not 90s and 80s white women that couldn't move their hips. I'm talking about these white women that know how to twerk and know how to whine because they've been watching YouTube videos. They don't care. They don't care where they are. And we call that cute, and they're living their best life and they're being liberated and all of that. But when it comes to Black women, it's always a negative connotation when it comes to us turning up and have fun. Again, she was wrong as hell for getting on them folks' furniture, because Black folks know that's not part of Black culture. You don't stand up on somebody's couch.
No, you don't
do
that.
At the end of the day, you have an atmosphere because you're playing music. And I don't know why we refuse to understand that music affects you mentally, physically, spiritually. I don't care what kind of music it is. Like I said, I'm not even religious, but I enjoy Christian music. I enjoy gospel music. I don't go to church. I'm not going to go to nobody's church. But I will listen to them sing a church song any day, all day, and cry. And cry. I'm talking about cry. I can't listen to Yolanda Adams without crying. Yolanda Adams is one of my favorite singers in the whole wide world.
Oh.
But at the end of the day, we have to understand that our culture is just different. It's just different. We feel it different. Them twerk songs hit different. Like, come on. You can't sit there and sip your wine and eat your spaghetti, right? And you got it's some holes in this house playing in the background. Like, come on.
Oh man. Okay.
What's your thoughts?
All right. I do. What I hear is there's a lot of moving parts, kind of like what Brian said. And I think one of the things that he brought out that I think was key, and that was information I didn't know, that there's clips of, doing the wobble and stuff like that in there. That changes things. All right. So now this goes from being a mild overreaction. This goes from being something where you could have worded something differently to where you probably just shouldn't have said nothing at all and let this kind of be resolved on its own. Now, with that being said, I got huge problems with the young lady twerking on the table. Honestly, she could have been twerking on the floor and I would still have a problem with it because it's a restaurant, right? Now, I don't care if they done did the electric slide. I don't care if nobody's booty has hit the floor and has gotten in and gotten close to nobody else's booty, your booty shouldn't hit the floor. Now, but the thing that you both said is that's home training, right? You kind of got to know your environment. But then here's the other part they've highlighted. The music that is playing, which we use music to set the atmosphere. That's the whole purpose of music in a restaurant. It ain't got nothing to do with food, right? Music don't help you eat nothing. It don't help nothing. It don't change the taste in nothing. So the whole purpose of music is atmosphere.
If the food good enough, you won't even notice the music.
You won't even notice the music.
I think this reminds me of what we've been.
But if the music and the food good, you gonna be dancing while you eat.
Right. So now that brings us probably to the biggest point. I hate this is the situation that calls attention to it, because she just need to be sat down somewhere. He need to be taught some etiquette classes of how to deal with stuff, learning how to pick your battles. But in the midst of it, there's a bigger issue. And this issue is how we view things that culturally we find acceptable everywhere else except for public. So we have things that we will privately praise, privately chase, privately esteem, but then when we want to look like somebody, we kind of want to put those things away. And so what I think what Lesa has highlighted in this is that in the midst of this, there's some self-hate working here. And honestly, I didn't see it that way at first, right? I just thought, that's just a man proud of his establishment. Somebody over here twerking and stuff. I'm like, I'm like, hey, bro, you gotta go somewhere. But when you start highlighting the music, what type of stuff is happening there before, those things do kind of change it. But then ultimately, when you get to the core of it and say, what was really bad about the twerking? And this is not a moral thing. It's literally what really bothered you, right? What really bothered you? And then when you kind of think about that, it's obvious. He made it clear what bothered him. And that's where the problem comes in. This is where he made it clear what bothered him. I did this for the culture. What you're doing does not represent the culture. So now I've drawn a line between the culture that you embrace and the culture that I embrace. I have made us different. So now I have said, you were that type of black, I'm this type of black. And even worse, I'm the good type of black, you the hood type of black. And I think, while I didn't necessarily, I don't think that's the conversation that's being had. I think that's the one that should be being had. That's the real issue.
It's the point I've made before, though, how we go out of our way to be the good black people. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I grew up that way. I grew up with all these white folks around me, and I wanted to be the good nigga. I wanted to be, the one that they looked at and was like, you're not a nigga with the hard ER. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're the kind that we like. You know what I'm saying? You're the kind we would never call you that to your face, but we like you. And for me, that was good enough because it gave me that privilege. It did. It gave me that privilege over other black people, that I was better than the black people from the ghetto or the black people from the hood or, the black people that didn't grow up with the white people. And I think that is the mentality that we've taken on as a whole culture because we do live in this society and we've had to assimilate to it so much. And one thing is for me is I could see if, and I've said this before too, I could see if we got our minds right and assimilated into this culture in order to take it over and put ourselves where we're supposed to be in society. But we're not. We're assimilating to this culture to be like them. We want to be like them. We want the type of careers that they have. We want the type of money that they have. We want to take the same vacations that they take. We just want their society as our own. That's why we value their society more than our own. It doesn't matter how much we learn about our African heritage. You still have a lot of African Americans that don't even want to put African in front of their description because they don't feel that connection to Africa.
Absolutely.
They don't feel that connection to present day Africans. And I don't even understand how we could not see that. If we look at present day Africans and we see how they move and how their culture is over there, it is very flamboyant.
Absolutely.
Not even just Africans. Like, you can go to Asian cultures, Indian cultures, and all of them are very flamboyant. All of them are very theatrical. All of them have ceremonial dance that they do for important events, and they don't look no different than the dances we do here. They got belly dancing, they got twerking, they got hip rolling, they got winding, all of this stuff that we do over here that is considered ratchet and unclassy, and you shouldn't be doing that here. Like, why not? What is dancing doing to anybody? I mean, honestly, I mean, unless the girl is down there taking off her clothes and doing a whole strip tease in the middle of the restaurant, or I mean, I know you can take it too far. I know that, but at the end of the day,
I think you just breached upon a really good point. And that is, what is dancing doing to anybody? I think there are certain things we have been nurtured to say hurts us, you know, in order to get us to legislate morality in certain ways, right? That was one of the first real dangerous things about this nation's government that I realized. Is like legislating morality is a slippery slope, right? Legislating what individuals do is a slippery slope. But in order to create an environment where you can legislate morality, you have to create propaganda around it, right? You have to create basically, and the instrument of propaganda for America for a long time was religion. It's the instrument, right? For the Prohibition era, it was religion. Everybody except for the Catholics. The Catholics actually they protected their liquor for communion purposes, but
Right.
but you know, the Baptists or evangelicals, the ones that we having problems with today, evangelicals, they ran that propaganda, right? And so again, kind of showing what Lesa has highlighted, much of what we feel about what is right or wrong comes from how our parents or elders viewed white people, or how they viewed how we could succeed in a world ran by white people, right?
Exactly.
And so what we find ourselves constantly doing is taming ourselves.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
You want to
been
be that
too
good
wild.
nigga.
Tame your hair, tame your clothes,
You know?
Tame everything. And if we are to be in their society, we would have to. We would have to. Like that. That's the only way for us to work in this society. So we have to tame down who we are. Honestly, I feel like that's the whole reason for slavery in the first place. I told you they went to Africa and seen some magical shit and was like, oh my God, if we don't get a hold of this shit right here, right now, we will never, ever be able to do better than these people.
Right.
You know, Lesa brought up a good point about how certain things in our culture we look at as being ratchet, or we only want to do when we're around each other, but when white folks come around, we want to act like, hey, you can't do that. Have you ever seen a Nigerian wedding before?
Right.
Man.
Well, they throw money like they in Magic City, bro. And I mean, it's facial expressions.
Nigerian money.
Yeah, but you know, that's the custom. Everybody is that's like the wedding gift for the married couple. It's just a whole bunch of money. And I mean, they popping rubber bands, throwing it just like they throw it in the clubs over here, man. I found that to be very interesting, how customs and traditions just translate over, and we don't even know it.
We don't have a clue because we're allowing all of our customs and traditions to kind of be defined for us. And the saddest part about that is we're not even doing the footwork or the heavy work ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Be given back to us though in such a, I mean, I'm so glad he mentioned Nigerian weddings, because have you guys checked out this new craze of white women coming up with Beyonce and Sierra dances to do at their weddings? I mean, it's like they getting down twerking in their wedding dress for their husband, and we pass it along on Facebook and say, oh, how cute. How cute. That's so romantic. That's so this and that's so that. But when a black woman does it, oh, how ratchet. You don't do that at your wedding.
Yeah.
And we do it so often, we don't even realize we're doing it. Like, I bet nobody's even thought about that until I just said it. Like, we heart all of these white weddings and these women getting up here doing cater to you routines that they don't learn from some black girl.
Come on now.
They've learned the routine from some black woman or some white woman that's been studying hip hop her whole life.
God, come on.
Yeah.
And then they go and do it at their wedding, and we pass it along on Facebook and we say, oh, that's so cute. That's so this and that's so that. But let one of our people do it, and we be the first ones to call them ratchet.
Well, it's because we praise their culture, right?
Yeah.
We don't accept anything until it's validated by them. Like, what's my girl that I love? Jane Elliott, right? I love Jane Elliott. You know, she's the truth, right? But it bothers me that people in our community have said the exact same thing that Jane has been saying for years, but we wouldn't listen to nobody. until she said, and it's like, oh, look at her. Don't that make so much sense? And it just made me want to go like Red Fox, you big dummy. And just like, cause it amazes me. But it's that self-taming. It's still that AV brought it up in one of the previous episodes, that meritorious manumission. The other part of not only is meritorious manumission, I snitch on you to get praise. It is also I just want to stay in their favor. And the best way I stay in their favor is to do what they do and listen to them. So I can't you can't give me permission to go further. You're not white enough. You don't have permission. You're not one of the heirs. We're the adopted children. You're not one of the heirs, and that's how we view ourselves.
And even and this may go on subject, but it's connected to it. When you see photos when people post their children or black men and they say, "Oh, they dressed up now and they all in suits and they like black," and it's like the suit makes them professional or smart or intelligent.
You just pointed out my hypocrisy because I hate that. I hate that with a passion. And I like suits. You know what I'm saying? I don't wear them a lot because I'm a big bruh, and big folks should only wear suits if they are tailored. You know what I'm saying? You don't put on no store-bought suit if you a big boy. You know what I'm saying? It's not made for you, player. But I like suits, right? I really do. I got no problem with suits. But when I see those pictures of this is when we were men, and it got us all dressed up, and we got the monkey suits on, and that's what I call it.
No, you didn't.
Because politically, we fail to understand that every national group has a national costume. Right? Yeah. Every nation has a national costume. The national costume is what the head of state wears.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. The head of state in the United States wears a monkey suit. All right. So when you're showing black men in that suit saying this is when we're men, what you're saying is you're only a man when you are a mirror of what this country accepts. And that is problematic. A suit is just a cover up. And again, this is from somebody who likes suits, right? Yeah. If I had me a bad tailor, I'd be like Biggie Smalls out in this piece. You don't understand. No, I'm telling you. But no.
It's not the clothes that's the problem. It's more our appropriation.
It's that mentality. Yeah. Like, why I gotta wear a suit?
It's also our lack of knowledge, though. It's our lack of knowledge of our own culture. Like, I was sitting here the other night, and I don't even know what I was looking at, but I came across, or maybe my husband showed me a picture of Young Thug. I think that's his name. And he had like this gold headpiece on, and from the side, he did look like a horse, but it said like he looked like a beautiful horse or something the caption said. But to me, I immediately thought of an African king, like just the way he looked. Like, yes, he looked animalistic. He really did. He did kind of look like a horse, but our features. Our African features, especially when you go and you get these uncut, raw Africans, like even my son's father's Jamaican. I swear, like I used to joke with him, like, you look like one of those little Ethiopians from the commercials,
Yeah.
Because his genes are strong. Like you can see his African roots. And when I look at this picture of Young Thug, like it was beautiful to me. Like, not that he's even a fine dude, but the picture itself was beautiful. It looked very African. It looked just very ancestral. And I was like, why are we making fun of this dude?
So now
like, why, as African people, as African American people, why are we making fun of how he's dressed?
Yeah.
And it's because we don't even know where we've come from as far as our culture of fashion.
Absolutely. Well,
we think that the stuff that we see these young kids in is weird, but when we look back at our ancestors and see the resemblance of what these young cats are wearing, compared to what a lot of Africans are even wearing today.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, like, how can we not pick up a picture and see how deep that culture goes for us? We don't even have to be in Africa right now to create shit that looks African as hell.
Absolutely.
And that even goes back towards like the jewelry. Now, I'm not saying that people should go spend tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars on jewelry, but when you look at these guys, rings and the necklaces and all of that, if you look at, old depictions of Africans, whether it be West Africa or East Africa.
West Africa, absolutely.
Right. And even still today in modern times, I mean, they got gold everywhere, ice everywhere. You know what I mean?
What I love about that, and I didn't mean for us to hit that, but what you're talking about now is you're talking about our ancestry bleeding through. And it's like, even through everything we went through, our ancestry, our legacy, our heritage is still bleeding through. And if we're not careful, we'll keep taming it right back out of us because we're just accepting what America tells us is right, wrong, and this and that. And we got to be careful with that. Man, Okay, so that brings me to this before we move to our next topic, because I'm excited about the next topic. There's two things I got to hit here, though. See, y'all just done, golly, and it flows like right where we need to be going. It flows right, but y'all just said two things. The word you used was animalistic. The word you used was animalistic.
Yes.
And I remember that word was used when Beyonce did, what was that last thing she did? Black is King. When she did Black is King, people were noticing all of the animalistic stuff, right? Or at least that this is animalistic. And, they identify with that, which I found funny, Satan, right? So it's like, oh, you see the horns, that's the devil, and a lot of these things were literally just West African artifacts. That's all it is. But two things that hit me with, number one, we've been trained to identify anything African as the devil. Now now you just trace it all the way down. But even in scripture, in the Bible Belt, we translate holy to mean white, right? We literally say we want you to be white as snow. You know what I'm saying? Like, and what natural element is being white as snow a good thing ever? This is purposeful propaganda here, right? To transition your mind into thinking white is right. Let's keep going. Why would they put it in a dictionary and not throw it in the Bible, right? So, the propaganda is working all the way around. But so we see that, but then, golly, I don't want to miss this. What was the other thing? It's in there. The other thing was, we call it, the second thing was, we use the word animalistic as if animals are the one destroying this world, right? So people, I like that you use that word, because that's what other people do. You look at it and saw a king.
Yep.
They looked at it and saw an animal.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And when you think about it, that's the difference in discernment, right?
And I honestly saw both, but both were very beautiful to me. I did. I immediately saw why they were calling him a horse. But to me, it was very beautiful and very African and just very, I don't know, like it was spiritualistic to me. Like I couldn't fathom why we felt like that was a picture worthy of making fun of him. And like I said, it's not that I even find this man particularly attractive, but in this picture, he was beautiful.
Wow. All right. Well, that brings me to this, and then we're gonna hit our next subject, because this self-taming, right? I had an experience a few years ago. I had sort of like a little revelation, right? The people was in church and they were praying for all the people who need to be delivered from drugs, right? And I had a brother, he was going through rehab for marijuana. Who knows, right? So right, who knew? But he was realizing while he was in there with everybody else, he was like, oh no, these folks got problems. But they were asking questions like, have you ever stole money from your parents to get the drug of your choice? And he was like, no. And, everybody else hand going up, and he was like, have you ever engaged in sexual intercourse to pay for your drug? And he was like, oh no. And so by the end of all the questions, he was like, I think I'm in the wrong group, right? But in America, we've been taught to treat weed like well, I don't even want to get too far in those distinctions. We've just been taught to treat everything they say is bad, right? Yeah. But me, a few years ago, maybe 8-9 years ago, as a traditional pastor from the South, not raised in the church, but found the church early, right? And, just kind of doing my thing. I think I smoked weed the first time in my life when I was 12, and the people were mad at me because I wasn't inhaling, and they were like, "Nigga, give me my back. You wasting my stuff." and you know, and I never, you know, never really touched the stuff again until much later on, right? And then, you know, I was like, "Oh, I'm in love now." But watch this. So, you know, I was sitting in church one day. And I'm realizing everybody's praying for their kids to be delivered from drugs, and the drugs they're talking about is weed, right? And you know, then there's a lot of old people in this church too. And I'm like, and half of them are on so many dang prescriptions. And I started to ask myself, who taught you how to distinguish between that drug and that drug? Who taught you that one was okay and that one wasn't? Now, if I was gonna choose, and I'm supposed to be choosing as a Christian, I should choose the one that's bad should be the one with the highest body count. So why are we preaching against cannabis and not Tylenol? Because Tylenol got the highest body count. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So I start realizing, no, this is hypocritical. You got a purse full of 50-11 drugs in there, and you saying something wrong with your grandbaby because he smoked a little weed. No, baby, you got and so okay. That's one of those places that we self-tame. Now, this continued to bother me because later on I was sitting in the church and I heard a pastor say, if he saw a young black man selling weed, you know, he would call the cops on him. Wow. And I just, you know, and it's because he so firmly believes in his faith, right? That drugs are wrong. You know, he said he's not discriminative against weed. Drugs are wrong. But he's not calling the police on Walgreens. He's not calling the police on CVS. These are the biggest drugstores in my city. I don't know what's in your city. Right. But they making more money than a little D-boy and a little double bad boy.
Yep.
But I've been taught to villainize mine. By the way, like everybody wants to praise Black Wall Street. How you gonna praise it if you don't know the cash crop that got it off the ground? Yeah. Marijuana. Right. And so you got to do some research here. You got to go back and look and see at what time, and this is my biggest point, and then we're gonna move on. At what time did they make this substance illegal?
And why they made it illegal? What was the propaganda?
The whys are important.
Speak on that, man. Talk to them, man.
The whys are important.
Yeah, man.
It's the whole truth. The whole truth. It bothers me. And the worst part is, like, at that time, none of us were able to vote. We were not a part of the voting majority when this law was passed. You understand? Like, you know, the constitutional ramifications for that are supposed to be that the people who are the most criminalized for behavior are people whose ancestors never had the opportunity to vote on that in the first place. Which means you are not holding me hostage to laws I created. You are holding me hostage to laws you created before you gave me
hold me back. To specifically hold me back.
To specific, yes.
Yep.
This, you know,
and this is what I've been trying to explain to people all the time, because they'll say things like, well, what laws are in place that keep Black people from doing anything in this society? Which it would be easier to count which laws aren't in place to keep Black people from succeeding in this society. Because any law that's on them books for real,
come on,
ain't a law we came up with. We didn't have nothing to do with it. Like, how does anything benefit us if we haven't had a chance to review it and say whether or not it benefits? How the hell you know what's best for us if you haven't even considered to ask us what's best for us? Because at the end of the day, you don't care what's best for us. You care what's best for you.
That's it. And that, you know, that's one of those things I'm really adamant about. I'm actually doing everything I can to put some stuff in place so that we can be more vocal about that, because that's to allow that type of prohibition to continue any longer when the other half of the country is making billions of dollars off of a product that our own kin are being out here, you know, getting arrested for. That's atrocious to me. And there are laws in place that we can use to our advantage, which I'm not overly excited about, depending on the law. I got some other ways around too, but there are some ways that we can enforce and that we should do. So, you know, we need to make some room about that. Okay, now to this next thing. Okay, so it's two videos, right? I got to show you. I got to show you the video of some people addressing what happened, and then I got to first show you what happened. Now, some of you may have seen this already. This is not for sensitive ears. This is not for the faint of heart. If you know anything about rhythm, hold your chest as hard as you can, because this is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt. Let's go.
Strike and 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 strike until you have victory. For every enemy that is aligned against you, let there be that we would strike the ground, for you will give us victory, God. I hear a sound of abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of shouting and singing. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. I hear a sound of an abundance of rain. I hear a sound of victory. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. The Lord says it is done. For I hear victory, 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 victory in the corridors of heaven. In the corridors of heaven, victory, 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 victory. For angels are being released right now. Angels are being dispatched right now. Hamanda aka ata raka teda baka sanda ata ambo osa kata rite eke banda ata rike didi ashata. For angels have even been dispatched from Africa right now. Africa right now. Africa right now. From Africa right now. They're coming here. They're coming here. In the name of Jesus. From South America. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. They're coming here. From Africa. From South America. Angelic forces. Angelic reinforcement. Angelic reinforcement. Angelic reinforcement. Pika hata anda ata. Ora bata rata ande eke eke manda rasata. For I hear the sound of victory. 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 I hear the sound of victory.
Okay.
Right there.
What in the potato salad with raisins in it? This and I'm like, oh snap! What is?
I hear the sound of victory.
Well, honestly, when I first saw this, somebody else,
I'm honestly crying.
and I didn't know what was about to happen. They were just like, watch this. And like back in the day, a long time ago, I broke away from Paula White and them a long time ago. But I've been in their circles. I done been all up in their church and all that stuff. I done been there, but I broke away from them for a long time. So I knew it was gonna be something foolish because Paula was in it. So I was like, I just knew. Like people think Paula just got on with Donald Trump. No, she been riding that for a minute, right? Wow. And so
where's she based out of?
Huh? Orlando.
Okay.
Orlando. Okay, hold up. Y'all don't know. Okay, hold on. Let me give you this real quick. Let's give everybody the history on Paula White. Paula White, in her own words, described herself as poor white trash that came from nothing. That's how she described herself. She married a man named Randy White. Africa right now. That's what I said, She married a man named Randy White who felt like God called him the pastor, so they moved down to Tampa, Florida to start a church, right? Without Walls Church grew. Paula didn't preach that much in the beginning, but later on she kind of did, and she met Bishop Jakes. Everybody know who Bishop T.D. Jakes is, right? Mm-hmm. Paula White, just to kind of put this in perspective, is a spiritual daughter, if you will, of T.D. Jakes. So in all fairness, maybe she considers herself a daughter of Africa. I don't know. But the church she pastors, and this is going back to your point, was pastored by a guy by the name of Zachary Timms. Now, Zachary Timms used to be a big name back in the day. His church was in Orlando, Florida. He was a preacher that looked like Will Smith. Zachary, cool dude. I'm going to do my best not to besmirch his name. I'm going to just try to speak the facts. I don't like tearing people down. But the facts are he had an extramarital relationship with a stripper and got caught in a hotel with some cocaine and ended up overdosing it later on and dying. So it's a tragedy. And that's why I try to be careful about stuff like that, because I don't think that's ever a reason to praise. I don't think so. It was a tragedy. It was ironic, but tragedy nonetheless. So he died. His wife took over the church, Reva Timms. Him and his wife were co-pastors, right? Kind of like my wife and I are with Bridge City. We're a co-regency. I don't play that you high, I'm low mess. No, we either one or we not. I don't know how to do that. So that's kind of how Zach and his wife was, right? And so somehow, and this was a big issue. Like you can go to YouTube right now. This was scandalous how this ended up happening. After he died, they were looking for the new pastor of the church. The board was working. His wife was handling everything for a while, which I mean, honestly, just out of honor, she should have got it. That to me, that's what I should have won. You know, she had to go through the embarrassment of what he kind of left her with the stripper and she was a French stripper. She was from Paris. You know, so he spent some money on this one. You know, you got sent across the waters. But I'm sorry, you know, it's just funny. You know, I can't help it. I'm kind of comedic a little bit, but somehow there was a big issue when they were choosing the pastor, and because this is a majority Black church, right? Paula White ends up as the pastor. Now, I don't know if you know who Bishop Ivy Hilliard is, but he's another big name. He was on the board of the church. He left in the middle of the negotiations. And Ivy Hilliard is a big deal. He's one of them, he's like one of the people that some people call, you can hit that for me, one of the people that people call prosperity pimps. I don't use those type of terminologies, but, you know, I'll leave you up to that. He was the one, when T.I. went to New Birth in Atlanta, he was the one that was preaching, and T.I. said he felt exploited. Mm-hmm. That's Bishop Ivy Hilliard. So Ivy Hilliard was on the board. He left. There was a YouTube video where he was basically saying they don't let a snake in the hen house type of thing, talking about Paula, and was saying that she basically did something that she wasn't supposed to do to get that position. We don't know what it was because, you know, church folk, they like to gossip without gossiping all the way. Child, if you're going to spill the tea, just spill it all. Ain't nobody got time to be getting drips and drops. So she ended up getting control of the church. It was a big issue. So that's the church she's controlling. That's what she was out of. When I first saw the video, I knew it was going to be some foolishness. And I was laughing. I was from the moment I hear the sound of abundance of rain, I hear the sound. I was like, oh, okay. I'm trying to find the beat. I'm like, what's, you know, I'm guessing at this moment the band has just stopped trying. Like, I don't know what she's doing. Because ain't no music going on, you know. But when it got to the point, I call on the Angels of Africa. I was like, wait a damn. Now, I think all of my righteousness left me at that moment.
The caucasity.
I promise you.
The caucasity of it all.
The caucasity. Oh, that's going in the dictionary.
I'm talking about how you gonna call on our ancestors.
Come on, man.
Called on everybody ancestors but her own.
You know what
why not yours?
I said, you know that she calling on all the little black and brown angels. Ain't calling on that one little non-melanated angel.
And she said she felt them coming. Now she knows she lied to that doggone congregation. She knows she lied like hell to that congregation.
And you know the sad thing about it, and because I forgot that was me until you asked that question. What happened?
Lions and tigers. I knew this sounded familiar. I was trying to figure it out.
Come on, Jasmine. Come on, Jasmine.
Look,
Lions, tigers, bears. Oh my! That's exactly.
Jimmy just hit what bothered me about it. Right? I was not necessarily as bothered by her doing it. Because I don't pay attention to Paula. You know what I'm saying? She goofy to me. You know what I'm saying? I had one good pastor once. He was a white guy from Chicago. And he said something to me. He said, man, never forget, some people are just serial Christians. And I said, what's that? Fruits, nuts, and flakes, bro. And so that just stuck with me for the rest of my life. So Paula has just been in that category for me. So, you know, I really don't care what she was saying. But what bothered me when I heard her do it is I recognize I've been in church my whole life. Again, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I got kicked out for church. You understand? And then got kicked out of church. I just been kicked out every which way on behalf of the gospel. You understand? Well, as much as I've been in black churches, I've never heard a black pastor do that.
Because they
That's
would
what bothers
condemn us and call it blasphemy.
Because they would call that witchcraft. When she do it,
because that's what we've been taught.
When I half of the church want to demonize me because I preach African spirituality, and it's like, oh well, he preaching that devil stuff, and I'm like, I don't even believe in the devil like you do. Like,
Malcolm X said, "Who taught you?"
Like, man.
I just don't get how we can't just slow down and realize the hypocrisy within ourselves, because we've talked about this before too. How do you sit back and say, well, when your grandmother passes, or when your mother passes, or when your father passes, or your aunt, or even your best friend, you say, watch over me, keep me safe.
Come on.
Like you long for times when they may show up in any type of inkling that they're still there with you. Yep. You actually believe that these people are looking down on you, protecting you. How is that any different from your ancestors?
Come on. How? That is.
How is that any that's exactly what that is, because at this point, your grandmother, anybody that's passed on and left you, is your ancestor. So how are we so easily convinced that praying to 2 generations ago is any worse than praying to 1 generation ago?
Come on now. And again,
I pray to my ancestors. I feel mine. That's why if my ancestors tell me to twerk, I'm twerking.
Okay. The ancestors say twerk. I'm going.
I'm telling you, I'm going.
Don't stop.
They might got a reason for it. I don't know.
That's hilarious. I love that. That's one of my favorite things that you said. I feel my ancestors. Yeah. I teach not to put my theology out there too much, because tonight we'll have those conversations, but tonight ain't Bridge City, right? But I teach that God is the sum of all things, right? Mm-hmm. So in my mind, ain't nothing to me, these distinctions and divisions are petty, right? God is either all or nothing. Yeah. That's where I live at, right? So it don't bother me when somebody call God something different. Yeah. It don't bother me when somebody acknowledge God as something different, because God is either all or nothing. It used to make me back in the day when people about to get in a fight at church. They say, "Oh, we're gonna take it across the street because we ain't gonna fight on the Lord property."
You over there too?
I'm confused.
Right, you're right there on the church step.
Right, what you say? Like, if we gonna go. Okay, funny story. All right, so I was pastor in a church called Kingdom Central at one time. Right, I started this church from the ground up, and it was kind of like the hood church, is what people called the hood. They called me the hood pastor. All the D-boys kind of came to our church. I didn't know that until later on. I didn't know. I was just innocent little humble guy, just loving on Jesus. I just want to love everybody.
The doors are open.
And somebody had the bright idea, let's do a youth lock-in, right? And I was scared about the kids touching on each other. Because I remember why I went to youth lock-ins. You know what I'm saying? I didn't just want to spend a night in some random building. I know what I was going for. So that's what I was worried about. I was worried about the kids, touching on each other and stuff. And that's not what happened. We ended up having to cancel because 2 of the adults almost got in a fight in my office. Wow. And my office was upstairs, and it's not like one of them pretty upstairs where you walk around the corner, take the elevator, and go. No. It's like an attic upstairs. Like when you walk up there, the stairs still right there behind you. So somebody push you, you through. It's some narrow stairs. You had to pray when you were walking down the steps. Like hold tight and pray. And I mean, like they going in, like right there, they cussing each other out, them and their kids. That's always the beauty about Black folk, especially when you raised a certain type of way, you ain't never got to fight your battle by yourself. If somebody you're related or pretend to be related to is near you, oh no, they're gonna be there running that mouth game with you. But it was so crazy to me, and it highlights something you said. There's like this disconnection between what we say we believe and what we actually manifest, right? And we're not actually taking the time to deal with it. For example, recently there's this, and I'm gonna shut up in a few. But so much has happened this week, right? There's this gospel artist, male, that a sex tape leaked out on him, and he's a male, and there's only other males in the sex tape, okay? And it's a sex tape. So that kind of lets you know what's on there. And, you know, me and my wife was kind of talking about it because I'm thinking, like, what is it about this particular religion, the way Black folk practice it, that make us feel no type of way about not really believing it, but wearing the label? Why not just drop the label until you figure out what you believe?
What you want, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I realize because they don't have that freedom to. So now these people like living all type of lives, and I'm like, no, brother, if you want to have a whole male orgy with dudes, you probably don't want to be a Christian, because they're gonna let you get up and sing. They're gonna use you every chance they get. They're gonna put you on program because they.
I'm telling you, gonna be the choir director.
Come on now.
You gonna be directing the choir, the praise dance, something.
Come on now. All right.
Yeah.
So I had to get that off my chest. So this is like, so let's go back to Paula. Ho Paula. You know, rhythmless Paula. That was the. I'm Pentecostal, or I come from the Pentecostal background. So speaking in tongues has been in my background for a long time. I've never heard them quite like that. I don't know what like.
I didn't think that sounded right. I didn't think that.
I bet them ancestors looked at the call ID and was like, "Girl, wait,
what is this?
Wait,
crazy
wait. Who you looking for, a child?"
we be thinking crazy stuff going on in Black churches. You know, people be shouting and doing this, that.
Yeah,
walking in on that.
Man.
And the crazy thing is that they are also trying to emulate us in the church.
Absolutely.
And
well, see,
appalling to me.
Pentecostalism is the child of Africa. Pentecostalism, it was just the African presence in Christianity, and they had to give it a name. And they had to build a whole false theology around it to try to make it work. So spirit-based, yes, indeed.
It is, I don't know. Child, it's just disturbing to me to see these videos. And I mean, that poor baby, I mean, she was serious. She was very serious, calling on the ancestors.
Foolishness.
And, you know, you ever just want to throw a rock at somebody through the screen? You're like, yeah. Like, what is she doing?
I mean, I really wanted to pull her to the side and just say, "Hush, baby, hush. Just shut up. Just shut up.
Say no more.
Just be quiet. Because you're going to piss the ancestors off, and they're going to send some shit you ain't ready for."
About to open the door.
You might want to shut the hell up.
So now, to kind of shift to a little bit more positive note, we're still going to be on Paula. But just today, I had the privilege of watching a group of preachers. I was shocked.
And how did you find them?
I don't even know. You know, I just be letting YouTube play in the background sometimes and stuff pop up. And I don't know if y'all have had a chance to watch this yet, but I was fairly impressed by one of the people's responses. I also want you to pay attention to the other two people's reactions while the brother is saying this. And so y'all watch this. This is a response, if you will, to the Paula White situation.
Hey, Dr. John Alvarado.
How you doing, my sister?
I
love you so much. Thank you. Thank you. She was not late, y'all. I saw her comment. I sent her an email saying, "Come in this room with us." And she spun around.
Told me to come.
She spun around 3 times like Wonder Woman and came on in here with us. I'm so thankful. I don't want this comment to be lost on us. And this is by Dr. May Alice Reggie, one of the elders in our local church. But Dr. Reggie says, if Paula White understood the significance of ancestors in African spirituality, she would have left that alone. Okay. Ancestors, great cloud of witnesses, are called. Spirit of God are called. We invoke the ancestors as angelic presence in African spirituality. And I think that Christians, particularly contemporary Christians, have demonized ancestral invocation as something that's antithetical to Christianity. When we pray in the Old Testament model, we pray to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We invoke ancestral presence even in our prayers. Whoever wrote the book of Hebrews, y'all might know, I don't particularly know, and I don't particularly care. Barnabas wrote it. It doesn't matter to me. But what it does say to me, when this whole idea of the great cloud of witnesses is being invoked for our encouragement. So this idea of invoking angelic presence, if she understood that she was calling on the ancestors of Africa, some of whom lost children to slave trade, some of whom were decimated by the imperialistic colonization of African countries, she would see how inappropriate and ungodly it is. And think about it like this. At the first, African bodies were taken out of Africa for the benefit of Europeans. At the second, African resources were taken out of Africa for the benefit of Europeans. At the third, Africa itself was colonized by Europeans. And so you now have Africa, decisions made in Europe, how they're going to parcel and divide up Africa for their own benefit. And now fourthly, if that isn't bad enough, that the people have been pillaged, the resources have been plundered, the land has been taken over. Now you're going to call on the spiritual resources of Africa. How much raping of Africa can white people do? It's not enough that you got the people. It's not enough that you got the resources. It's not enough that you got the land. Now you're calling for the spiritual resources of Africa too.
Like right there. Right
Way
there.
to break it down, brother.
Man. Like,
The caucasity.
Okay. Right? The caucasity.
Yes.
He said, how much raping can you do? Now, I want y'all to notice an interesting dynamic that, stuff like this just always stand out to me. The person who's the most passionate about it is the Hispanic guy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you take a look at the faces of the two black folks in the room?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
She looked very disturbed. That woman in particular looked very disturbed by his passion.
Because even though they silently agree, and later on I'll send y'all the whole thing. But later on, they agree and talk about their ways, but it's like they feel forbidden from talking about it that way. Like he went straight to it, like, no. How much more can white folk do? I'm not going to call it the devil. I'm not going to call it the spirit of racism. No, I'm about to call it what it is. And I think that made them a little uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because me, I'd be there clapping in the background, preaching. I'm
Me
I'm
too.
like,
Me
man.
too. I think that's how it was the very first conversation we all had. And you back there talking some revolutionary, and I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Yes, that would have been me.
Come on,
preach,
man.
nigga, preach.
Now, what actually was amazing to me is that I was actually shocked to see a preacher, because these are all preachers, by the way. I was shocked to see a preacher speaking that way.
Yeah.
Because that's what I preach. I preach that the angelic presence is the ancestors, that there's no difference. And I never heard any other preacher preach that before. Right. So obviously when he said that, like, I was like, what?
Refresh.
You've been in my notes. Like, how you get myself, which I feel real good about it. That obviously makes me feel real good, because I would like more preachers to do that. And Dr. Alvarado, I don't know if he has a little bit of black in him, but like he identifies as us. He's like, I'm y'all.
If he's Hispanic and we understand the origins of the roots of Hispanic people, then we would have a better understanding that these ain't nothing but our cousins. I mean,
as a matter of fact, the majority of them are from countries that were the products of some of the first successful slave rebellions. That's how they.
And a lot of Hispanic nations. A lot of Hispanic nations are right there in the Caribbean, where the first Africans were dropped off in the African diaspora. That's another thing that I tried to talk about within our Black culture, is that we don't realize that we're all the only difference is where we got off the boat. Like that's it. Like when it boils down to it, you as I'm going to use my last name, Wilson. Me as a Wilson could be very well kin to a Lopez, where down the line, both of our grandmothers came from the same people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all came from West Africa somewhere. So I don't understand why it's so hard for us to even recognize that connection. And even if it's for lack of knowledge of our roots and our ancestry, look at them motherfuckers.
Come on now.
Look at Hispanic people and look at black folks.
There it goes.
What's different? The way we pronounce words.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. They nappy headed like us. They run around here dark skinned like us. Big lips, big nose, big ass, big titties, all of that, all of it. Just like us.
You know, and that's I'm glad you said it, because you know, a little bit off topic. We're gonna go back to topic. I just want to highlight that when you said that, so many times we say race is just skin color, but you know, we realize that it's more than just our skin color that we tend to characterize ourselves by. We also bring in those other things like our lips, our nose, that phenotype. And I think those
are beautiful features that we, first of all, we need to get used to. But again, we want to assimilate so bad into this culture because we tell ourselves that that's what's beautiful, to have a long and slender nose. Like I used to, Lord have mercy, when I was young, I mean, I was so coonish, it wasn't even funny. But when I was young, I used to love when a motherfucker tell me I had European features. Oh, I felt exotic then. Like, let me swing my nappy ass hair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you felt exotic. But now when I look in the mirror, I am more attracted to my African features because I accept them now. I accept them. I accept when other people like them. I accept them even more because I see those same features in my children. How can I not like them in me and tell myself I love the way my children look when they look just like me?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So all of these features that we want to pull ourselves away from, and which now is acceptable because some white girl went out there and plumped up her lips and plumped up her ass and got some implants and was like, oh, now I got a black girl body. I got a black girl body with this white face. So now this body is going to be accepted. But when I was young, having a big booty wasn't fucking cute.
I was just about to say that. And not only that, some of them are going to tan, and I don't know if they do
black face like hell. Yeah. And they think because they went and sat out in the sun, they also think because they went and sat out in the sun or they went to a tanning bed that it's not blackface. I'm not doing blackface. I'm just getting a tan. Honey, stop. Because a long time ago, y'all asses would have been chasing that doll, what is it, porcelain skin that was so popular amongst white people back in Britain and in early American culture. That shit was the norm then. Now dark skin is beautiful. So the blacker you are, the more exotic you look, the more acceptable you are. So especially if it's a white woman that when it got her darkest, they love that shit. Look at Kim Kardashian.
Man, I don't understand.
Looks sick.
And now you know they want to address themselves as Armenian because it sounds exotic. It sounds non-white.
Yeah, come on now.
Because if you'd asked their asses in the damn 80s and 90s, they would have been Armenian at home and white out in public.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you know you ain't lying now. You're not.
Nope.
You're not lying.
Wow.
No. I told you I grew up around white people. It was a gift and a curse. It was a gift and a curse because there were a lot of kids, white kids that I went to school with. You can look at them and tell they were mixed with something else, but you can never get them to admit that shit out in public.
Nope.
Not out in public. Nope. They might celebrate that shit at home, but out in public, they were white. They're Caucasian. Ask them what they're marking on that piece of paper. They're marking white.
Yep.
European, Caucasian. They ain't marking all that other shit. A white woman nowadays can't wait to have a mixed baby so she can finally mark mixed or other than white or anything other than motherfucking.
So she could say she was disenfranchised. She can relate now.
Right. And the Lord knows we started on white women and they damn racism with they mixed kids. They can't wait to be oppressed with they mixed kids.
You know, that's
I finally experienced racism.
That's crazy. It's, I don't know why. It just reminded me of a time that a white girl called me a pretty nigger, and that's the face I had, right?
She called you a what?
A pretty nigger, a pretty one. Just like that, right? I went, I don't know why. I went to a sleepover and I was a youth pastor. I told you I've been in this for a while, right? So I had some other youth with me, some young black boys, and there was this white preacher girl. And so she invited us over to the little sleepover. There was just a whole bunch of other white girls there. So now I'm like, okay, now I got to keep my little young black men tame. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a bunch of white girls. We're sleeping here. I'm no fool. So I'm like, hey, y'all keep your hands to yourself. Stay close to me, blah, blah, blah. So the night took a turn, all right? None of the stuff that I thought was that I should be worried about, that's always how it happens.
Yeah.
None of the stuff that I thought I should be worried about is what transpired. There was no touching, none of that. They started telling jokes, and mind you, these are Christians. These ain't just people who go to church sometimes. These are people who preach. You know what I'm saying? It could have went real wrong, Jimmy. Real wrong. Because we was in Jack, Alabama. I don't know if you know what that is, but it don't sound
like somewhere I don't need to be.
It sounds like somewhere you don't want to be.
No.
They start telling jokes, and it's like, hey, do y'all mind if we tell jokes? You're not gonna get offended. We just want to see what you're gonna say.
See, stop right there.
And and back then, Lisa, I was the exceptional Negro, so I can handle that.
So you had you just had to.
I'm not gonna be upset. I'm not gonna be mad.
Sometimes you giggle a little bit.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? But they don't know you giggling because you uncomfortable as fuck.
Yeah.
They think you giggling because you find it funny, and you giggling because you like, Lord, let me make it out this shit right here. Like, yeah.
It was so crazy. And I remember the joke to this day.
Yeah.
Like, I never forget it because I was just thinking, my word was audacity. Now I realize it's caucasity. The caucasity. They're like, what's the difference between a nigger and a pizza? And again, these are also people who are very well connected in the church I'm in as well. So I'm confused because they're really good friends with black folk, right? So I am confused. And so, and it's the whole night is that, all right? The whole night is that. And so like I pull off. I can't do that, right? Like I don't know what it is about my ancestors and me. But like even when I was living in my foolishness, that just wasn't funny for me. And so I was like, let me go ahead and get away from me because I be done choked one of these little white girls. So let me go ahead and move. Went on about my business and went to sleep early. And when I woke up, wiping crust out of my eyes, one of the little white girls, one of the tan ones, right at that, and one of the tan little white girls, natural born tan. So she got some extra in her. She leaning over, smiling. You a pretty nigga. Let's go. Let's just go. And there's more to that story because as we was getting ready to leave, they were like, "Oh, y'all gotta hurry up and leave. My brother's getting ready to come." Now I want to stay. Now I want to stay because I can't put my hands on one of y'all. But let's get him here so I can exercise this demon on somebody. What amazed me is the nonchalantness. It was just easy for them, and I realized like what? Their parents weren't bothered. You know what I'm saying? Nobody.
You know why? You tell me. I know you know why.
Yeah.
I know you know why.
Talk to me. Let me know.
Cause you a good nigga. You a good nigga. You gonna sit there and laugh at they shit. You ain't gonna say shit to them, and they parents damn sure don't find nothing wrong with it because your parents are the good niggas. Matter of fact, they the main good niggas because that's the only reason your little nigga ass kids is over their kids' house.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So they already know that your parents is down with the fuckery. Whether they're like directly down with it or whether they just don't say anything and just let it happen. Because I had those type of parents. I had those type of parents that talk all type of shit about white folks as soon as white folks left. But when white folks was in our presence, they were our kings and our fucking queens. And that's how we had to act. And so they're used to us being docile. They're used to us sitting back and just letting them say and do whatever they want to say and do. And They're not used to us speaking how we speak when we want to fucking speak how we speak. That's why I don't got a lot of fans.
I lost a lot of them over the years. After Obama was elected, and again, I've said plenty of times I wasn't a fan of Obama, but you wasn't about to disrespect this man just 'cause he black around me either. Like we ain't gonna play that game. Like I was riding the car with somebody, he just going off, and I was like, "Hey, bro, did you forget that I was black? Did you? I mean, like, did you literally forget?" And like that was the end of our friendship after that. Like he left my church and everything.
Yeah, that's how I am about Kamala. I'm not a fan of Kamala, but ain't nobody out in the family gonna talk about that.
That's it.
Yo,
no, I'm about that. And,
the comments say, "What's the difference between a pizza and a nigger?" I really want to know too. I was hoping to get to that.
Look, I wanted to know. I said I'm gonna let it ride, but I'm glad
I'm ready.
What did he say? He was gonna let it ride. Yeah.
If you didn't say it on the show, I was damn sure gonna ask you in private. Like maybe it just couldn't be said on the show.
Like I want to hear this joke. I
want to know.
So damn ticklish.
I know it's something stupid because racist white people find the dumbest shit funny.
Oh, it was real stupid. One could provide for one could feed a family of 4. That was the difference. A box of pizza.
And I bet you they thought that was the funniest shit. I bet you that was in there.
They thought they had just laid down bars.
Oh my God.
Man.
Gotcha there, buddy.
I got ostracized after that, right? Like when I got back to church, I got ostracized after that because those people went back and told the church people that I was being standoffish at the sleepover. I don't know what got into him. I don't know what happened. He just began to get standoffish. He really wouldn't talk anymore that night. I'm just trying not to cuss. That's all. That's it. I'm just trying not to cuss because if I say what I want to say right now, like they didn't know me.
If they feel like there's any type of inkling that you might combat them or that you might not agree with what they're saying or that you might be bothered in any type of way, they're gonna find a reason to get you out of that atmosphere. Same thing happened to me when I was working for Marriott and I was 21. And had I had some knowledge about myself, I would have sued Marriott then.
Come on now.
And it really, for me, it wasn't about differences in race. For me, it was really about difference in age. In the department that I worked in, most of the people that worked there were teenagers. Like they were there for the summer, rich people, fucking kids that came to work for the summer or, college interns. And, I'm 21, 22 years old. I'm not in college. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have nothing in common with these kids' lifestyle. So I was over there hanging out in the predominantly Black area because all the Black people worked in housekeeping. My roommate was the manager of housekeeping. She was a Hispanic girl. She was the manager of housekeeping. So I went and ate my lunch with them. They go back telling folks I'm difficult to work with and I don't talk to nobody and I have an attitude. How the fuck I got an attitude? You ain't never said nothing to me. I've never said anything to you. You've never said anything to me. Just because I prefer leaving this area and going to eat with the Black folks, the people I got shit in common with because most of them are my age and older. Yeah, they fired me. They found a way. They didn't even fire me. They found a way to move me out of that department. And it was, honey. They gave me a fucking toothbrush and told me to go into housekeeping and go clean out the ground. And I told them, let me kiss my ass.
Oh yeah,
I'm doing that shit.
You asked the wrong one. No.
And then, and then it was a Black lady. The sister, I'm not gonna do this shit. And I just came from a corporate level to bye.
That's when I think about that quote from Life that you gave. You don't want to give me that. Because if you give me that toothbrush, I'm gonna take it and shove it up your raggedy. You don't want to give me that toothbrush.
I'm gonna shoot the shit at you with this. That's why I said I know I either would have been Nate Turner or dead.
Yeah, I was probably gonna be dead because I'm radical.
They probably would have killed me young.
Yeah, they they would have got me. Because you not about to hit me with that whip. I know if she watches, she gonna get mad a little bit time, but we cool. I love her. One time my mama was gonna hit me with a board, and I was like in 7th grade, and she was about to hit me with it. And no, I grabbed that. No. Hey, you're not gonna hit me with that. I will put it. You want to go get a belt? We cool. But you're not gonna hit me with that. So no, I wouldn't have survived slavery. No, you the first. Hey,
I did the same thing to my mother.
I wouldn't
even beat me.
I wouldn't have made it off the boat.
No,
I definitely wouldn't have made it off the boat. I definitely, if they'd have got me fresh out of Africa with the power and the strength I have of my ancestors right now, and I'm diluted as fuck. If they'd have got me straight out of Africa, they probably wouldn't have made it back to the boat.
Come on, yeah. And I think that may be what sets some of us apart sometimes, is that some of us identify with the ancestors who marched for the right to vote. Some people identify with the ancestors who praised God on Emancipation Day. But then there are those of us who identify with a story that started a little further back than that. Yeah. There are those of us who identify with the ancestors who were on the boat. There are those of us who identify with the ones who jumped off the boat and said, hey, F y'all. No, not doing this. We identify
There's
with
those of us who identify with the ones that was left behind to mourn all the people that they lost.
Families were ruined, ripped apart,
right.
Whole community destroyed. And, and I think that's been my biggest cry, and we'll wrap up. That's been my biggest cry for the past 5 years is that, I want the right to feel the whole pain. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't feel, if I can't feel the whole pain, I know we done went through some stuff here, but this is a much bigger story than just here. Yeah. I need to feel all of it. I need to feel the pain of Hawaii. I need to feel the pain of Australia. I need to feel the pain of the Philippines. I need to feel the pain of South Africa, of Guinea, of Brazil, of the Congo, because that's all my story. Right? There's just no way around it. It's all, once you get so far back down the generational chain, just in generational math, you stretch out so far that literally it's all of it. All of it's me. That's how I see everywhere there's black folk. I say, oh no, that's me. That's cuz. That's fam right there. Those are my people. His story breaks my heart. I was heartbroken when Gaddafi got taken down. You know what I'm saying? When every time I read about what's going on in Africa, this is why I can't stand. This is why it's hard for me to stand behind any American president, because all of them dropping bombs on Africa. So you can tell me whatever you think about me over here, but I'm watching how you treat me over there too. I'm watching how you treat me in Africa, how you treat me in South America, how you treat me in Asia. You can't fool me like that. No, you can't say you love me here and don't love me over there. And vice versa for all the white evangelical churches who like to send missionaries to Africa but ain't got no black friends. How you love African kids over there, but you don't like not one black person over here enough to have them in your house? How much sense that make?
Nope.
Like we just
makes perfect sense to them.
To them.
It makes perfect sense to them.
Man,
they ain't gotta like us. We tainted. They'll go over there and get them some fresh niggas. Okay.
And they would, and they do. That's a whole nother other conversation.
Yep.
Oh my God, you just said something. So that's because
I told y'all I'd be thanking. I'd be thinking about everything. Everything they do has a meaning to me.
Are not our ancestors, but our family who come from across the waters. If they're not careful, they'll come over here for the American dream, buying the same lie that we bought years ago. And they will literally come on these grounds as an enemy to us if they're not careful. Now, all of them don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'll never put out the narrative, but all of them do that. But I'm not going to lie and say it ain't a lot.
Yeah.
And just to make it clear, it's like that for a reason. That whole system is designed to make sure they're not.
Didn't just happen here.
Why am I going to send you reinforcements? You know what I'm saying? Why am I going to send people over here who are going to relate to you and help you take me down? No, I'm going to make sure that when they get over here, the last people they want to be identified with is you.
Is their own.
That's it. And
that's why I said a long time ago, this shit is not to separate black people from white people or people of color from white people. It is to separate people of color from other people of color. Because once we get united and start comparing notes and be like, well, damn, nigga, they do the same shit to us. They do the same, like, because we see it, we know it, but it's like we really don't understand it unless we actually get to a point where we can physically talk to these people or you know, verbally hear what's going on. Like, we can see all day shit. Niggas get treated the same way in England as they do here. Niggas get treated the same way in Australia as they do here. But it really don't. It just like it doesn't mesh with our minds. Like we still think that. I mean, we still think that racism ain't even that bad. How can something not be that bad that happens all over the fucking world?
Yeah.
How could it not be that bad?
Checking the books when we say that stuff. No. We taking John word for that. John said it's better, so it must be better. We ain't actually checking the stats. We ain't actually going back. Let me see that report to see if it's getting better or not. Yeah. Which we need to. Like, when you look at the stats, it's terrifying. Yeah. We're not doing better. We're doing worse. We don't understand history is a living moment. We think things have somehow gotten better because the clothes are different. You know what I'm saying? You know, I got different clothes. But, you know, no, those slaves who could buy stuff too. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just don't understand. You know, there's so much we don't understand because we don't get to have conversations like this. Yeah. And that's why I love this. But to wrap this up, let's go ahead and do our closing thoughts. I can't wait to hear what both of you guys have to say. I feel like there was something I wanted to throw in there. I feel like it. Hold on, give me like 2 seconds. I feel like it, it was right there. No, I can't catch it. So you know, if it comes up, I'm just gonna interrupt one of you guys and just go with it.
Go ahead.
I've said that it's never gonna come now. You know, but golly, what was it, y'all? It was so good. Okay. But no, if I remember it, we'll bring it back for next time. I think we've had an incredible conversation tonight. Whichever one of you want to jump in first, or baby girl, do you want to jump in first with the closing thoughts?
Yeah, I think my closing thought, the great thing that we did today was actually show up the videos. You know how on YouTube they have a lot of gossip channels like Gossip Tees. Oh, yeah. Instead of just showing it just to laugh and get your silly reaction of it, you can actually start having conversations in a safe place where everyone can give their thoughts so we can ultimately elevate. You know what I'm saying?
That's good. I'm actually glad you said that because notice we had different perspectives and didn't disagree. And I think that's a reality that's not really praised enough. We don't even know that's possible. We don't know it's possible to see something differently and not disagree with how somebody else sees it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's one of the things I love to do. I like to pick out what you guys said and say, ooh, I didn't even see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, B, when you said, you know, they did the wobble and they do this, they be the sororities in it. You didn't have to say the name of which one, knew where you were going when you said it. You know, so I'm like, oh. If you know, that's information, that's perspective. That's something you would have saw that I would have never saw. It's kind of like I said in the beginning, Lisa, one of the things I love about B is that, you know, as cool as I seem to be, I don't know nothing about what's going on out there. You know what I'm saying? I'm a bookworm, man. I am a nerd. I stay in my books in front of my computer all day and day working. That's where my mind be at. But so I can't assume that I see enough of a thing to be able to draw my conclusion immediately. Like one of the sayings I teach my children is that judge nothing before it's time. You know what I'm saying? Get all the facts, get all the information. So I'm glad you highlighted that. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that was beautiful because that's exactly what we did tonight. And I don't even know if y'all caught that. That's like, cause we opened up. I don't know if I'm gonna agree with that. You know, we opened up knowing that this was, cause this was a tough one, right? Cause this one is not about liberation per se, right? Even though it is. Because it is about a mental liberation, right? But it's not about politics. It's not about candidates. It's not about who you're voting on. So where those things are kind of sometimes feel clear cut, this is one of those things where everybody could have went just 10 different ways. And instead, we used what we saw differently to really see the bigger picture. And I thought that was beautiful. Thank you so much for highlighting that, sweetie. Yeah, you don't stop now, man. Golly. All right, so you through? Or
Yeah,
you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so it's on one of y'all for your closing thoughts.
Ladies first.
Okay. Who told you I was the lady? I'm just playing. I don't know. I would say, first of all, this was a great conversation tonight. Y'all know I was excited about this because it's a topic that I've been especially the restaurant video was a topic that I had been on, and after I watched whatever the fuck that was with Paula White, like I knew I really wanted to get into that one. But I find myself saying this a lot because I know that a lot of white people hear me, and for them that don't know me, they think, I just be going in on white people, and I do. I do.
You really
But
do.
I go in on one, mainly racist white people, and two, I'm not even gonna say it's all racist white people. I think another thing that we need to realize and be honest with is that this oppressive mind affects us all. So even white people, like when I look at the video, I don't think that this woman like maliciously went out there and like, I'm gonna take their ancestors. Like, I don't think that was her mindset. But I do think it was the caucasity in her to be like, I'm finna call on their ancestors. Like, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can do that. I got black friends. So I can call on the black ancestors. And I just think sometimes white people do not think before they do. And if they thought about shit before they did shit, like that whole they want us to stop talking about slavery, and they want us to stop talking about the bad things that happened to our ancestors and African Americans. At the same time, you sit up here telling us how proud you are of your great granddaddy in the motherfucking Civil War or some shit like that. Like that directly affected our ancestors. So you can be proud of yours, but you don't want me to have empathy and sympathy and a connection to mine. So white people, sometimes just shut the fuck up. Think about what you're saying. If you really have black friends that you really care about, think about what you do before you do it, because it can be very insensitive to us as a culture of people. That's just my thing. White people think before you do shit or do it totally.
I want to take that part. White folks, just shut up. I want to take that and just make a clip out of that and say,
do it. I might go viral.
All right, Pete.
Oh man, great conversation as always. I was running a little late, but I'm glad I made it. One theme that we've talked about today that I've been thinking about for years, and I know the reason why, but I'll pose the question anyway, is why are our traditions and our culture looked at as being inappropriate? Who is the supreme force indicating or determining a buzz cut is okay, but dreads are inappropriate? The ancestors are inappropriate, and that's devil worship, but communion is okay. And one thing that I try to teach my kids is, they got the little hairstyles everybody has now. And sometimes, my parents kind of ask me, why do you let them wear their hair like that? Or aren't you afraid that teachers are going to say this, say that? And my thing is, what's the difference between that and, the white kids going through their little phase? You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Why are our kids looked at as thugs? And so one thing I teach my kids is, your work ethic, your personality, that's what should speak for you. You know what I mean? Don't let your looks or the way you talk or the way you dress or the type of music that you listen to, determine who you think you are or who somebody else thinks you are. I think that's something that we talked about today that resonated with me, and just something to put out there.
Yeah, I think, man, that was real good. It's like you just gave me something. That's why I like going last, because if I don't have anything in the beginning, after listening to all of y'all, then I can have something. But that was actually perfect because you really hit tonight's theme. And we never like purposely have a theme, but there always ends up to be some type of central thing that we're talking about. One night it was like menticide, another night, I don't know what it was, but it was something. Tonight I feel like the theme is self-love, that theme is, or the opposite of, right? What we see in both videos, what we saw in both scenarios, was first video, you see two people wrestling with self-love. Baby, you don't love yourself enough to know when not to shake your booty. And bro, man, you don't love yourself enough to be able to appreciate that that's a manifestation of your own culture. You know what I'm saying? It may not be the part of the culture that you resonate the most with, but it is part of your culture. The thing that I've always loved about Black people that you'll never make me not love is that we've always been able to have an appreciation for everybody's everything. And so I hate the fact that we have a hard time having appreciation for our own selves in that same manner. Anybody can sit at our table as Black people. I've never seen a Black household where anybody couldn't come. It didn't matter. You probably couldn't marry anybody sometimes. And even then, they ain't had no power. They weren't going to stop you. They were just going to talk about you behind your back. Now, when you came with the babies, they were going to love you. Oh, look at that. You so cute. She married an old white man. They're going to do that. That's how they do it. But other than that, they're going to let anybody sit at their table. They're going to bring anybody in. Black people are beautiful in that manner, but how much more beautiful would it be if we could do that for ourselves? And then we see that in that second video, which I think is the part that B just hit a little bit as well, is that, there's so much of our culture, so much of our history, so much of our true identity that's been removed from us. I don't like to use the word hidden anymore because we should all be coming into this type of consciousness where you can take control over the knowledge you put in front of yourself. If you're interested, you can find it. You just got to believe that it's worth pursuing first, right? And that's the thing that's been taken from us because it's been demonized so well. Again, my biggest problem with the Paula White video was that what she had the caucasity to do, we've never even had the thought to do, And so what it really made me think of is, man, I wonder if my ancestors cold out there. Because we're not calling on them like white folk is. Like we just done gave them to white folk now. White folk, you call on my ancestors and we'll just call on you. You take care of everything for us. Things that we would never think to do. Again, like you said earlier, we would have did it in our church. And hell, they already call us names anyway. So I don't care. It is what it is. But the point is, love yourself enough not to let this society define who you are or who you should be. Ask the questions. Get the answers, go on the journey.
Do the most.
And this is a really, really good one. Yeah. I get this from Lisa's one. If you don't know about a thing, shut up. Right?
Just shut up.
Don't speak on it.
Just shut up. Just shut up.
Don't allow yourself to do it. You see something and somebody say that's demonic, you don't say nothing. You've never met a demon. You don't know. Shut up.
Right.
Because that's the biggest way we fooled ourselves into running away from our own stuff is by just letting ignorance make all the decisions. And I think like the moment I started looking, I was amazed. The world became beautiful, in a sense. I mean, ugly. It's ugly. The possibility of the world became beautiful.
Right.
I started realizing, so it does not have to be like this. This is not just the way things are. And it's funny because it seems like the only thing that's going to change that is when we realize that. Until we as a people realize that things don't have to be this way, because a majority of our people, interestingly enough, believe that this is just the way it's going to be. This is how it has to be. What are we going to do? Find out, nigga. That's what we're supposed to be at. So that's my closing word. Find out. That's my close.
Take your place.
Take your place. Man, if Paula White can call on African angels, you should be able to call on some African angels. And so that's my for the moment. I've had an excellent time tonight. You guys, I can't thank you enough for being here with us. This is the first night that we actually got on who we advertised. It's the first night that we actually got on who we advertised. So that feels really good. I'm proud of that. And of course, guys, for those of you who are tuned in, don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, do all that good stuff. Tag your friends, tell everybody this is the hottest thing on Tuesdays. You do not have to wait to next Tuesday to invite them. Make sure they're watching the reruns. Also, make sure to check out Multiverse Radio, where your boy B. Warren actually has a show on there way down south. You know what I'm saying? So make sure y'all check that out. I have not listened to the next episode yet, but it is up. It is up. And so I'll probably listen to that after this. Oh yeah, and just by the way, I know I've shouted out yours, B, that you're doing controlled substance. I never do this, and I started this. The whole reason we did this was for this. Lesa has a group called Iron Fist Movement.
Yes.
And so, you know what I'm saying?
We meet. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah.
We meet every Sunday and every Wednesday at 4:00. Now, like I said, I'm not tech savvy, so a lot of the times I forget to go live, even when people ask us to go live. And sometimes our conversations get so deep before anybody even thinks to open up the camera. But I encourage people, if you want to join in on the conversation, we meet physically every Sunday and Wednesday at 4:00. I can give you the address and the DM to the property that we meet on. You guys come help us out in the garden, help us get ready to get this gazebo built. Like, we need all of that because we want to create the vibe. I mean, this might turn out to be a little church. You talking about I should be there, you know what I'm saying? But we are trying to get a place where the place comfortable enough where more people can come and congregate and just talk things out, because what we're trying to do is gonna take time. And the first step that everybody wants to skip is retraining our mind. We can't do nothing until we get out of this oppressive mindset. So you said something earlier about people finding out. I guess you're saying find out what they want, like if they want to be a part of this society. And I think that the majority of Black folks, and I might step on some toes and I might hurt some coons' feelings, but I'm gonna say it like this. Deep down, you Black folks out there know damn well this ain't your culture.
Nope.
Your body don't sit right with it. Your spirit is not fed by it. It's too much mayonnaise, like Charlamagne be saying, it's too much mayonnaise in that salad. We need to get away from white culture and start appreciating our own, because at the end of the day, if our culture was so bad, why the fuck they emulate us so hard?
That's it. Man, listen.
If our culture didn't feel good to motherfuckers, and we the only ones that feel ashamed about feeling good about our own culture, because turn some Cardi B on for Rick Perry. She gonna twerk and she gonna be happy and she gonna have fun and she gonna go home and she gonna sex her husband and all of that stuff in Cardi B name. You hear me?
Yeah.
But we gonna be the only ones like Cardi B so ratchet, you know? Girl, that ain't me. I'm bougie. Okay.
I'm like, what they got to do with liberation? How that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what they do.
What does that have to do with appreciating your culture?
That, come on now. Like, man.
What does that have to do with appreciating your culture? For real? Because an African woman twerking and all her gold and diamonds and chains dripping off her is sexier to me than a white woman in the Wall Street suit. I don't know. Like,
I don't know what they wear. Something
more appealing to me. Hell,
I know that's right. Well, Black people are beautiful to me either way you slice them. It's just, we the most. To me, I ain't saying they got to be the most beautiful to everybody, but just to me, if Black people ain't your cup of thing, that's your thing. But to me, Black people are like my everything. Like, we beautiful, man. We amazing. We can jump high. We can run fast. We can sing notes. We can bend notes and create new notes. And we can
shine like diamonds.
We just amazing to me, man.
Shine like diamonds. Stand under the sun and see how your skin glistens.
Like, God, yeah. Man. And this is why I love Together Tuesdays. Listen, everybody that's tuned in, we love you guys. We're gonna go ahead and rock on up out of here. Let me see which one of these should I put at. We're gonna let Paula White close us out. as we end the show. Yeah.
Right there.
Strike and strike and strike and strike and strike and strike and strike and